So before you start experiment, please make sure everything is ready. Place a 250 ml beaker having about 3 inch of water and one boiling stone on a hot plate in the hood. Obtain approximately 100 milligram of 9-fluorinone. Read and record mass accurately and precisely. Transfer in a clean 50 ml aluminum flask and add a boiling stone in the flask. So you know the purpose of adding a boiling stone. Add 3 to 4 ml of ethanol. You can measure in a graduated cylinder. Again, the purpose of ethanol is just to dissolve 9-fluorinone, but you need to record the amount you use. Transfer in the flask. The solid, most of the solid should dissolve immediately. Now multiply the starting mass of 9-fluorinone by 10 to determine the target starting volume each of aqueous hydroxylamine hydrochloride and sodium hydroxide solution. So now you need to calculate, think about it. How much starting material I took and how much sodium hydroxide and hydroxylamine I need to add in my reaction. So if I take 0.1 gram of 9-fluorinone, it means I will have to add 1 ml of sodium hydroxide and 1 ml of hydroxylamine solution in the flask. Again, you need to aim for 10 times. Even if you add 11 times or 12 times, that's fine, but you need to record how much you are using. Once the addition is complete, swirl the flask to make sure you make a homogeneous mixture, and then you place your flask in the preheated water beaker. Now make sure the temperature remain below 75. Now think about it. Now you might question that you are using water. Water boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. Why do you need less than 100 degree? No, because we are using ethanol as the solvent. So the boiling point of ethanol is 78. If you heat it above 78, your solvent will evaporate and your reaction might not take place. So while you are heating, keep swirling also to make sure it's getting heat homogeneously. Now, while I'm heating my reaction mixture, I'm checking the temperature of thermometer periodically to make sure it is not overheating. If in case temperature is going above 75 or 80 degrees Celsius, what should you do? You can add some tap water or deionized water so that temperature remain below 75. Now, during our last experiment, we monitored the progress of reaction using TLC. So, why not to do the same thing here as well? So we can check when to stop the reaction. And so in this case, we will do exactly same thing what we did previously. The only difference is in this case, starting material is fluorinone. We will put a co-spot, and the product is oxime. Now oxime is going to be very polar. So our purpose is just to see when the starting material is going to be consumed. So you will be provided a fluorinone solution in acetone. You can spot it using a capillary. Now I'm sure you understand what is the meaning of co-spot. And you spot you use a different capillary to spot product and co-spot. Now during our last experiment, we saw that 70% hexane, 30% acetone was a good mixture to see our fluorinone. So we will use the same solvent so that we can see how the starting material is disappearing or what's happening to the starting material. So again, this time I did not show that how did I add solvent in the beaker, but if you remember, I mentioned that Generally solvent line is 0.5 centimeter, and the line you spot on TLC plate is close to 1 centimeter, so that the solvent always remain below the line on TLC plate where you have spotted. In the meantime, you keep swirling. As soon as you take TLC plate out, what's the first thing we do? We mark the solvent front. Now we will analyze our TLC using UV lamp. Now what do you see, guys? Our starting material is non-polar and product is polar. Polar spots move slowly, and you can see in case of fluorinone we have one spot. In cos spot we have one spot and something is on the baseline, that could be our product. And in product fluorinone oxime we do not have any starting material left, or we can say that most of the starting material has been consumed. It is very important that you analyze TLC nicely, and you want to mark all the spots just to make sure you still know where your spot has been appeared. Now once reaction is done or once starting material has been consumed, You can remove your flask from hot water bath and can unplug uh, the hot plate. You can switch off, but it is very important to unplug as well. Now let it come to room temperature. Some solid precipitate should form or will form. If they do not form, we will place the flask in ice bath, but first we will have to wait uh, to come the reaction mixture to come at room temperature. Even if you get some solid, we will still place our reaction mixture in the ice to make sure we get some nice solid crystals. After placing the reaction mixture in ice bath, we will get nice solid product, and we will use Hirsch funnel setup to do the filtration. We will clamp it, and Hirsch funnel should have a white frit. On top of that, we will use a small filter paper. Then we will use, you can attach with vacuum hose. Uh, when you use a filter paper, you remember we have to add few drops of water to make sure the filter paper stick to the bottom, and then we can do the filtration. We can transfer all the reaction mixture. You can use a spatula, very thin spatula, if you want to expedite the process of filtration. Also, it is very important to make sure when you use a spatula, you can remove most of the solvent. So now I'm just trying to make sure that I have some free flowing solid. So I can wash my reaction flask with few drops of acetone. Now do not add more than few drops. and the acetone should be cold. If you noticed, I had my acetone bottle placed in my ice bath. This usually take a few minutes before it's completely dried. Once you get nice solid product, uh, you can check the amount of product recovered. So make sure you write down in your notebook the amount basically you recovered.